Have you ever wondered what happens when an unstoppable force meets a deeply rooted ancient culture? That's exactly what went down when the rising power of Rome clashed with the legendary world of Greece and Macedonia. This isn't just a story of conquest. It's a tale of two titans, a collision of worlds that would forever shape the course of Western civilization. So, grab your snacks, get comfortable, and let's journey back in time to witness one of history's most pivotal showdowns. It all started subtly. Rome, fresh from its victories in the Punic Wars against Carthage, was the new heavyweight champion of the Western Mediterranean. They had a republic built on discipline, military might, and an insatiable ambition. To the east lay the Hellenistic kingdoms, the fractured legacy of Alexander the Great. These kingdoms, including Macedonia, the Seleucid Empire, and Ptolemaic Egypt, were centers of incredible culture, philosophy, and science. But they were also rivals, constantly squabbling amongst themselves. This internal conflict was the crack in the armor that Rome was about to exploit. The first real entanglement was the First Macedonian War. While Rome was busy fighting Hannibal, King Philip V of Macedonia saw an opportunity. He allied with Hannibal, hoping to expand his own power while Rome was distracted. It was a strategic gamble, but it put him squarely on Rome's radar. Rome, however, was a master of diplomacy and delegation. They didn't send their main legions. Instead, they rallied their Greek allies like the Aetolian League to do most of the fighting for them. This war ended in a stalemate, but the message was clear. Rome was now a player in the Greek world. Philip V had poked the bear, and the bear was now awake and paying very close attention. The real fireworks began with the Second Macedonian War. Once Hannibal was defeated, Rome had a score to settle with Philip. The official reason for war was to liberate the Greek city-states from Macedonian control. Many Greeks, tired of Macedonian dominance, actually welcomed the Romans as liberators. The decisive battle came in 197 BC at Sit. This was a classic clash of military doctrines. On one side, the Macedonian phalanx, a wall of long spears that had dominated battlefields for centuries. On the other, the Roman legion, flexible, adaptable, and armed with the deadly gladius sword. On the hilly terrain of Cynocephalae, the phalanx struggled to maintain its formation. The Roman legions exploited the gaps, swarming the Macedonians from the flanks and rear. It was a slaughter. The legion had proven its superiority. Philip V was defeated, and Rome declared the freedom of the Greeks, a move that won them immense goodwill, at least for a while. But was it really about freedom? Rome's influence began to spread like wildfire. They acted as the ultimate arbiter in Greek affairs, settling disputes and picking sides. This didn't sit well with everyone. The Aetolian League, Rome's former allies, felt they hadn't been properly rewarded and grew resentful. They turned to another Hellenistic powerhouse, Antiochus III of the Seleucid Empire, inviting him into Greece to challenge Roman authority. This sparked the Roman-Seleucid War. Antiochus, who styled himself as the new Alexander, vastly underestimated his opponent. The Romans, led by the legendary Scipio Africanus, the man who defeated Hannibal, crossed into Asia Minor and crushed Antiochus's army at the Battle of Magnesia in 190 BC. The terms of the peace treaty were crippling, effectively ending the Seleucid Empire as a major Mediterranean power. Rome was now the undisputed master of the Greek East. Back in Macedonia, Philip V's son, Perseus, inherited the throne. He was a capable and ambitious ruler who quietly began rebuilding Macedonian strength and forging new alliances. He saw the freedom Rome had granted for what it was, a velvet glove over an iron fist. Tensions simmered and finally boiled over, leading to the Third Macedonian War. The Romans, initially caught off guard, suffered a few setbacks, but they were relentless. In 168 BC, at the Battle of Pydna, history repeated itself. The Roman legion, under the command of Lucius Aemilius Paulus, once again shattered the Macedonian phalanx. The result was decisive. King Perseus was captured and paraded through the streets of Rome in a triumphal procession. The ancient kingdom of Macedonia, the kingdom of Philip II, and Alexander the Great, was no more. It was broken up into 4 separate republics, all under Roman supervision. The final nail in the coffin for Greek independence came a couple of decades later. The Greeks, chafing under ever-increasing Roman control and economic exploitation, staged a final, desperate revolt led by the Achaean League. Rome's response was swift and brutal. In 146 BC, the same year they utterly destroyed Carthage. The Roman army marched on the ancient and wealthy city of Corinth. They made an example of it. The city was sacked, its treasures looted, its buildings burned to the ground, and its male citizens killed, with the women and children sold into slavery. The message was terrifyingly clear. Defiance would be met with annihilation. With the destruction of Corinth, the era of Greek independence was officially over. Greece and Macedonia became Roman provinces. So what was the legacy of this conquest? It's a fascinating paradox. Militarily and politically, Rome was the victor. They absorbed the lands, the taxes, and the resources of the Greek world. But culturally, it was a different story. The Roman poet Horace famously wrote, "Graecia capta ferem victorum cepit," which means captive Greece took its rude conqueror captive. The Romans were in awe of Greek culture. They imported Greek art, literature, and philosophy. Wealthy Romans hired Greek tutors for their children. They copied Greek architecture and worshipped Greek gods under Roman names. In a way, by conquering Greece, Rome ensured the preservation and transmission of Hellenistic culture throughout its vast empire. The ideas of Plato, Aristotle, and the Stoics became foundational pillars of Roman, and later, Western thought. This incredible story shows us that conquest isn't just about battles and borders. It's about the complex and often surprising exchange of ideas, art, and values. The Romans came as conquerors, but they left as students, forever changed by the culture they had subdued. The world we live in today, our politics, our science, our art, is a direct descendant of this monumental clash between Roman steel and the Greek mind. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into history. If you found this as fascinating as I do, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories from the ancient world, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Let me know in the comments which historical clash you'd like to see covered next. Until then, stay curious.